We are live. All right. Let's get going over here. We're live there. All right. What do you see here? Okay, so you see Keiko. That's what you see here. All right. So for YouTube, I'm trying out a new microphone. So if this is working or not working, you like it, you don't like it, please give me some feedback. And you don't have to do that right now, of course. I know some of you guys watch on your TVs, so that's a little bit more challenging to do that. But I'm always looking for new ways to improve what we got going on here. Gotta get that light on. Yeah, so new microphone. I'm working on a new microphone for Facebook because that's on my phone, so I have to still work on that. So our theme actually today is to be playful. So Carter's helping us right now. Yeah, that's the theme. Just a quick little bit of business before we get started. Next Saturday, I'm going to skip next Saturday, but Thursday is Thanksgiving, right? Thursday? Gosh, already. So I like to do a little bit of a morning practice on Thursday mornings. So Thursday morning, I think 9:30 is a good time. If you have some other feedback, if you whatever, if you want to share with me, I'm open to suggestions, of course. But to do it on Thursday rather than on Saturday. Yeah. Then I also have launched a workshop on the website. And I've been talking a lot about breathing practices, right? So not just sitting and breathing, which we do a little bit of that in the practice, but combining it with your asana to make your asana practice, your asana on the mat. Breathing, pranayama, I know sometimes those terms are a little bit somewhere else, right? So it's a 90-minute long class. I'll drop a link in the comments here, both on Facebook and YouTube, if you want to check that out for sure. So next week, got the website going on. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to play today. So approach your practice with just a really easy, light attitude, right? But having said that, if you know that you have a knee thing or a shoulder thing or whatever it might be, that you still have to be careful, right? You still have to work in alignment. You still need to listen to what your body needs from you, but try not to take it so seriously, right? It is what it is, right? You do what you can do, and the end result is whatever happens, right? So try not to be too connected to that. Try not to be too worried about whether it works or not, or whether you wobble a little bit here or there. You're gonna probably, right? This is life. This is the way it works sometimes. So that's the idea. But just to have an open mind and open attitude about how to get there, right? If you want to wiggle into something using another pose, feel free to add those things. Just really approach this with a sense of let's see what happens today, right? Because you never know. All right, so we're going to start seated. So come on to a comfortable seat. And hopefully Karma won't want to play too much, at least for a little while. So aligning the heels to the groin here, make sure that you feel comfortable on your seat. So if you, of course, need to prop up, definitely prop up here. Take your inner thigh rotation, right? So that the pelvis can be upright, whether you're on your bottom or on a block or whatever you need here. So then relaxing into your hips and shoulders, engaging your belly or your lower belly anyway, lifting the pelvic floor, pulling the lower belly in and up and sitting tall through your sides here. Go ahead and close your eyes for a moment. And just bring your awareness to your body. And a lot of times we only notice what doesn't feel good, right? My shoulder hurts, my back hurts, whatever it happens to be, right? But see if you can find that sense of joy, that sense of thankfulness. We'll talk about that for sure next Thursday. But see if you can find that here. Finding your breath and being very thankful for each one of those. And allowing that breath to expand. Gradually making your way to that full, just beyond comfortable breath. So staying inwardly connected to the breath, that sense of joy, that sense of play. Let's go ahead and extend the arms out to the sides, and with the inhale, reach them up toward the ceiling. And then exhale as you bring them back down again. Let's do it again. Inhale. And exhale. One more of those. And then back to the top, inhaling. Exhale, just your right hand back to the mat and give yourself a little tip. So keep the pelvis rooted. Get really tall through your spine, nice big breath. And then inhaling as you come back to center. Switch over to the left. Back to the middle, inhaling. And over to the right again. Maybe find a little bit deeper stretch this time. Take that full big breath. And then come on back to the top. Last time, take it left. On the inhale, make your way back to center. And then exhale, release the arms. So bringing the left hand over to the right knee, right hand behind the back, just a little baby twist over toward to the right here. Try to keep the hips relaxed, the shoulders relaxed. The spine nice and tall. Feel your breath, feel how that changes your twist. And then come on back to center, take the second side. Just nice and gentle and easy. Release that, come back to the center, and we'll take the first side again. So using your arms a little bit more this time, press into the right arm, pull with the left. Imagine rotating from the belly, the side ribs, and the shoulder. Feeling that subtle little change that your breath brings you. And again, not getting too worried about how deep the twist is. Feel it nice and even up the spine. And then gently unwind, come back to center. We'll take the second side. Same idea, using the arms, working a little bit deeper into this one. And then releasing back to the middle again. Taking the hands to the knees. Inhale, draw your shoulder blades together on your back and lift your chest up toward the ceiling. With the exhale, let your spine round. So chuck your chin towards your belly button. Or forehead even, right? So inhale, you lift. Exhale to round. Take a few more breaths like that. We're working into the spine. Let's go once more. And then find a middle. Sitting up nice and tall here. Bring the soles of the feet together. And draw the heels in toward the groin. So we're going to hang on to our ankles rather than the toes. Pulling on the toes just kind of lifts the foot up off the floor, and that's not really necessarily the goal, right? We want to keep the four corners of the feet touching, and you might feel a nice little stretch here. So you can use your elbows at your inner hips. Try to stay at the inner hips rather than just pressing the knee down, okay? And we're going to pull to lift the chest. So you can stay more upright, or you can hinge forward. Think bringing your belly button towards your heels. Keep the shoulders down and back. Feeling the inner hips, maybe the outer hips, maybe your back. With the inhale, make your way back up again. And then let's stretch those legs out nice and long. So feet are going to be flexed as if you're standing on your feet. Again, nice and upright on the pelvis. Your spine is tall. Shoulders are down and back. We're going to reach with the arms and then hinge forward here. So let your hands fall where they fall. And then maybe a little bit in and out, right? So inhaling, lift into the belly, or inhaling into the belly so it lifts you up out of your fold, and then maybe exhaling in a little bit deeper. So just a gentle little rise and fall. See if you can gently make your way into a little bit deeper stretch. Sometimes the muscles complain a little bit at first. We're going to take one more breath here. And then on an inhale, lift back up again and release the arms. So let's open the feet, take a straddle. Don't really worry about how wide the straddle is right now. It's very early, you do what you do, right? But keeping the pelvis upright is important, so if you need to adjust your seat, certainly adjust your seat. Okay, so the belly is still working here. We're gonna inhale the arms and rotate the belly around toward this right leg, fold over your leg. And just like before, let your hands fall where they fall. We don't want to round the spine just to touch the toes. Same idea as before, maybe kind of inhaling and lifting up out of the stretch and then inhaling as you sink back in. See if that works for you. Again, this is your day to just sort of play with your poses. What feels good, what feels right, and what is definitely not for your body. Because not everything is. You can press more into this right hand to kind of pull the belly around toward the thigh, seeing if that changes anything for you. And then with an inhale, we're going to come back up to the top. Rotate around toward the left. Do the exact same thing here. So let your hands fall on either side of the leg. Let yourself move in and out of that stretch. Just make sure your pelvis stays rooted, that right cheek on the floor. Spine is nice and long here. And then you wiggle around into it, right? Pressing harder into the left hand, maybe rotating the belly around some more. With the next inhale, we're going to come back up to the top and then release the arms. So from here, take your right hand and pin it up underneath your left thigh. It's kind of stuck in there. Keep length through the spine. We're going to reach the left arm up and hinge over toward the right toes, but forget those toes, probably far away, right? But you can bring that right elbow more to the inner thigh, right? If you can take it to the floor, go ahead and take it to the floor. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So keeping this left shoulder back, imagine rotating your belly toward the ceiling this time. So the arm can be involved or not as much, right? As long as your shoulder stays back, you're getting the idea. Pelvis is rooted, spine is tall. You're breathing. We'll take one more breath here. Inhaling as you lift back up. Release the left hand, or the right hand, and then take the left hand and pin it up underneath. All right, so the exact same idea, reaching the right arm up, we're gonna hinge over to the left. And then you go where you go. Maybe the elbow comes in, maybe not as much. Maybe the right arm is up and maybe it's not. Noticing how the body weight wants to shift to help. Okay. Let's take one more breath here. With an inhale, we're going to come back up again. And then take hands to the middle. Right? We're still nice and tall here. The belly's still working. We're going to hinge forward. Think belly button to the floor. It may not come anywhere near the floor, just like your fingertips to your toes. But see where it goes. Watch that the toes stay pointing toward the ceiling. Keep those feet active. Sometimes that helps the feet stay where you need them to be. And just like with everything else so far, maybe wiggling in a little bit, maybe coming up out of it some. Maybe you can right away lay your face on the floor. Or maybe that's far, far away. So go ahead and take one more breath here. And then with an inhale, make your way back up again. And bring the legs back together. Help them if you need to help them. Get stuck sometimes. Wiggle around a little bit because that feels good. And then from there, we're going to come around onto hands and knees. So 4 corners of the hands here, belly's pulled in. Take your hands forward or your knees back, however you need to get there, and make your way into kneeling plank. Here we go. So the shoulders are neutral on the back. The spine is nice and long. Try not to let your pelvis droop or for your butt to stick up in the air. Find that middle place. And if you want to stay on your knees, we're not going to be here terribly much longer, but if you need knees, you need knees. Otherwise, lift those knees away from the floor, come into your full plank here. Pressing through your heels, extending out through the crown of your head. We'll take one more breath. And then let's lift the hips and make our way toward down dog. And just let yourself wiggle and stretch here. As always, being really playful today, especially. And then kind of settling into that. Staying grounded in the hands. Make sure your belly's supporting your lower back always. We're gonna lift the right leg. Keep your hips square for a moment and extend through the heels. Let's open the right hip, take the toes high, and whatever high ends up looking like, right? Just so that right hip opens a little bit. The right shoulder wants to lift and the left one wants to droop to help. Try and work to keep the shoulders level. Go ahead and bend the knee, pointing it toward the ceiling-ish. Releasing that, take both feet flat to the floor again. Not flat, but to the floor. And then let's lift the left. Again, starting with the hips square here. Press through, see if you can feel that nice extra stretch. And then go ahead and lift the hip. Taking the toes higher, bending at the knee if you want to bend at the knee. Work to keep the shoulders as square as you can so the opening is just in the hips. For now. We'll release that. Take the toes back to the floor. And walk the feet forward into a standing fold. So take your time bringing your toes to your fingers. Let's open the feet a little wider than normal here. Toes are going to point forward, as even on the four corners of the feet as you can be here. We'll take the fingers, interlace them behind the lower back. Draw your shoulder blades toward each other. And then stretch your hands away from your shoulders, either straight down your back or maybe up off of your lower back. Don't necessarily make that the goal though, right? Reach away. So the shoulders are pulling closer, the hands are reaching in whatever direction away is here for you. We'll take one more breath. And then let's release the arms. Bring the feet back in up underneath the hip bones. And then sliding your hands to your thighs, let's come halfway up. So parallel-ish to the floor, belly's in, keep the shoulders back. And bend into the knees for chair. So just kind of play with this, right? Maybe dropping into your hips, maybe lifting your chest, dropping into your hips again, lifting your chest again. Find that place, right? Even on the feet, hang on, center, extend, wherever you want the arms to be. Let's take another nice big breath. And then inhale as you stretch to the ceiling and release the arms. All right, so we're gonna take some sun salutes here. Remember, you can modify them. You can skip the vinyasa piece a little bit if you get too much. You can take full poses right away if that's for you. Do what you gotta do here, right? So let's inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhaling, take yourself over into a fold. Inhale, come halfway up. And then exhale as you step yourself back into a plank. Knees, if you'd like knees, drop it down to the belly, elbows tight. Hands next to the side ribs, we're gonna roll into the shoulders, little baby cobra, and then release up and back, down dog. Inhaling as we step forward. Toes to fingers, halfway up on that next inhale. Back over. And then come all the way up, stretch to the ceiling. Exhale, release at the top. So just like that, again, inhale. And fold. Halfway up. Stepping back into your plank. And dropping down. Roll to cobra. Maybe a little deeper, up dog-ish. Back into down dog. And step forward into fold. Halfway up. Back over again. And then all the way up, stretching to the ceiling. Releasing the arms. And we're gonna add on with this next one. So take your time, work with your breath, make it playful. If it's not perfect, don't panic about it, right? So let's inhale and sit into a chair. And then exhale into your fold. Come halfway up. Back to our plank. And down to the belly. Same exhale if you can. Inhale into cobra. Release back to down dog. With the next inhale, step your right foot forward into a lunge. Toes to fingers, back heel or knee to the mat. Inhale as you lift. Exhale, coming back down again, step back down dog. Forward into plank. Come down to the belly. Into cobra. Back to your down dog. And then the left foot steps forward. Heel or knee to the mat as you lift. Exhale on back down again. Back to your down dog. And into plank. Take it down, exhale. Roll to cobra. And then back to down dog. So you can hold this down dog or you can drop on down into child's pose. Listening to your body. Not stressing if you got a little out of breath there. Sure, we're good. Take one more breath where you are. If you drop down, lift back into down dog. With your inhale, step the feet forward. We're coming back to our standing fold. Coming halfway up on an inhale. Exhale over again. Inhale into our chair. And then exhale to release it all. Right? So let's take a nice big step back with the right foot. We're going to work in a triangle, or warrior two to begin. Left toes pointing forward, right toes cutting a bit. Go ahead and bend into your left knee here. So find where you can be even on your feet. As deep into the hips as your body allows you to at this point. Look for your big toe beyond your knee. Extending the arms. Hands in line with the shoulders. Keeping the shoulders over the hips. Looking over the left fingertips here. So let's go ahead and bend the left arm, bring the forearm to the thigh, take the right arm up and over the ear. This hand can, of course, be out of the equation. As long as the shoulder's back, that's kind of the deal. Right? So see if you can maybe sink a little deeper into your hips. Lean on this leg if you need to lean. Of course, you can have a block here, for sure. And then extending the right arm toward the ceiling. Go ahead and take the left leg straight, and maybe this left arm has to adjust a little bit. So it can just be dangling down the inside, it can be dangling down the outside, you can lean on your shin or a block. Maybe you touch the floor, but don't make that the goal. See what happens. Keeping the shoulder and the hip back so the body's open to the side of your mat. For now. Let's bend back into the knee, rotate around into a lunge, and come up on the back toes. So take the left leg straight and fold over this leg. So pressing the left hip back and bringing the right hip forward. You can play with this here, right? You can have the right knee on the floor. You can have your left foot flat. You can lift your toes. You can prop, you can twist, you can do anything you want to here. Take one more breath. And then bend back into the knee. We're going to step back into down dog. With an inhale, slide yourself forward, come to plank. Take it down. And roll to your cobra. Releasing back to down dog. So let's step the left foot forward again. Same side, lunging the same side. This time here, take your hands, walk them around to the center of a fold, of straddle fold. Take a second here. So your feet are parallel to each other. You're even on the four corners of the feet. Let yourself hang and almost take a break. Does it feel like a break? Ideally, yes. So from here, turn your left toes in just a little bit, and you may want to adjust a little more or a little less as we go. Keep that heel on the floor. Rotate your right toes toward the back of your mat, and then lift your upper body, and your legs, at least, sort of, should be like you want them to be for warrior two. So of course, if you need to shift or adjust or change at any point, certainly do. Extending the arms when you're ready. Still feel that sense of playfulness, joy, or are you just working too hard? Find that place where you can be happy with what you're doing. Not working too hard, not working too little. There's that too. Bending the right arm, rest the forearm on the thigh, and the left arm comes over the ear, or not. Keeping the shoulder back is the idea. Sinking into the hips, leaning if you must lean, certainly. And even here, this right arm can just kind of dangle, right? You don't have to lean. But the idea is not to use your arms. Right? It's to sink into the hips, and the arms just kind of happen to be where they are, where they land. So then taking the left arm toward the ceiling, bring your right arm, right leg straight. Lean if you need, inside or outside. Take one more breath. And then bend back into the knee, release it over into your lunge. Adjust if you need to adjust here. So back knee down, feet a little closer, a little further, whatever you gotta do. Take the right leg straight. And then just fold into the leg. Keeping the hips square, playing with any extra little add-ons that you want, or not. Taking one more breath here. Bending back into the knee. We'll step back into a down dog. Slide forward, inhale, come to plank. Exhale down to your belly. Roll into cobra on an inhale. Back into your down dog. So go ahead and step forward with the right foot again. And then take the hands, walk them around into the center of your straddle fold. So finding that place. Right? Feet are as far apart as they need to be or as narrow as they need to be. Toes point forward, body weight is even on the feet. And then bending the knees, of course, if you need to. Take the index and middle fingers, we're gonna wrap them around the big toes. Bend the elbows out to the sides, maybe a little pull on your toes. See if you can take yourself a little bit deeper into the stretch. Releasing the toes. Taking the fingers to interlace behind the back. And just like we did before, focus on drawing the shoulder blades together and stretching the knuckles away from the shoulders. The hands end up where the hands end up.
One more big breath. And then release the hands back to the floor.
Here, let's walk the feet in so that they're just wider than the hands. And this may be wide enough, it may be too wide, so play with this, of course. And you can bend or straighten the legs as much or as little as your body needs. So we're going to start by just bringing the hands inside the feet. And again, the knees can be as bent as you need them to be. See about bringing the right hand behind the right heel. And then kind of wiggle and shift. And look where your right shoulder is in relationship to your left, and to your knee. So your shoulder and knee aren't typically in this tight position, right? So just kind of play and see where that can go. Can the shoulder go more behind the knee? In your brain anyway, make it go behind your knee. And again, you're just kind of wiggling and shifting around here. So release that side. And switch, bring your left hand just in to the inside of your foot. And then you just kind of wiggle and see where your shoulder can go in relationship to your knee. Feel like you're wiggling the shoulder behind your knee. It may not go behind your knee, but in your brain, that's the picture. And then release that side. So again, bending, straightening, sometimes giving them a little bit of a wiggle, it just feels good. We're going to take the hands then both to the inside. And again, you may need to change where your feet are. Maybe the hands can move behind the heels. Yeah. Maybe you can bend and shift and wiggle the shoulders kind of behind the knees-ish to bring the hands up over the tops of the feet. And you can keep with the legs more straight or bend, dropping your hips. Feel like a pretzel yet? Take another big breath. And then release what you got. Come on down onto all fours. And rotate back to the top of the mat if you're not already facing the top of your mat. Sitting the hips back into a child's pose. And then playing with this child's pose, maybe you want your knees close together, maybe you want them a little bit wider. See where your body is happier about all of this. But we're not quite done with that body position. So, of course, right? Climb on back up into all fours. So here, if it makes you feel more comfortable about the whole situation, you can have a pillow, you can have a blanket, right? You can use a block kind of in front of your face. Okay? So we're going to be using some arm balance. And you may fall backward, but you may sometimes feel like you're falling forward too. So to have something in front makes your brain feel better about that, right? The likelihood is that you're going back. And as long as you got some stuff, if you want to pad back there with a pillow, that's fine as well. Okay, we're going to step the feet again, just outside of the hands. So then, as much as possible, take your hands behind your feet again like we did. We want to work the shoulders as far back as they're going to go, right? So that same kind of idea, only instead of having the hand over the top of the foot, we want it behind the heel with the web of the forefinger and thumb kind of straddling the heel. And then again, bending and wiggling as much as you need so that maybe your hands can come flat to the floor. The deeper your shoulders are behind your knees, the more leverage you have. So then if you simply sit back, you may fall, and that's okay, your bottom's close to the floor. If you can lean, see if you can lean and take the weight in your hands instead of your feet. And then maybe you can lift your toes up off the floor. You can take your legs straight and do all kinds of fancy stuff here as well. Sit on back if you haven't fallen already. And then just straighten your legs and give yourself a wiggle. Roll your shoulders. Sitting up nice and tall. So it's a fun way to get to the floor. Let's extend the arms, give yourself a nice big stretch here. Come forward into a fold. And just see if the position is different, right? Not being tied to touching your toes still, right? But just feeling the difference in the stretch. And then we're gonna inhale, come back up. And release the arms. So take your feet flat to the floor. And we want to be someplace where you have enough mat to roll back to. We want to roll only to the shoulders. Okay? We're gonna hang on to, let's hang on to the backs of the thighs for now. Pull your belly in, right? Then sit tall and lift your toes. C-curve your spine, rock back to your shoulders, and then back up into this seated balancing position. So you're just gonna go like that, rolling back, and coming back up. So as you play, rolling back and forth, notice if you kind of have a bump bump. And if you do, you want to more C-curve your spine. If you're like me, you end up rolling around kind of side to side on your mat. So make sure you're working evenly through your right and left sides. So the idea is to have this kind of rocking chair run, right? Up and down on your spine. And it feels good on your spine for sure. It's also working your abdominals. If you haven't noticed that yet, you might. See about grabbing and the shins and doing the same thing. Can you make it just as smooth? What about grabbing your toes? Is it fun yet? It should be fun. If you have your toes and you want to take your legs straight, give that a go. And roll around. So I normally watch you guys at this point, and if you are safely and happily coming so that the legs extend to the floor behind you, you can go there and clap. If you are back, you want to make sure that the back of your neck is not touching the floor. You want to make sure you can breathe there. That's super important. And you don't want any stress on your neck. Okay? So if it's not comfortable, don't do it. But if you want to hold with your feet back, if you're happy with that there, take a moment and plow. If you have a shoulder stand practice, you can go there. I'm not going to talk about that. If that's something you want to practice, make sure you get in touch with me and we'll do something together so that you can safely practice shoulder stand. It's really fun, but it can be very, very complicated and you can easily injure yourself. So if it's something you want to do, contact me. So just rolling down to the back. Let's hug the knees in and just rock a little bit side to side. So rolling up and down the spine feels good. Rolling side to side also goes down. So we're going to have the knees hugged into the chest. Take your shins vertical. So it looks like your feet are stepping on the ceiling. And we've been here before, so this shouldn't be too terrible. reach up and grab for the soles of your feet. And this might be plenty. If you want to kind of work to where we were when we were on our feet, you can take the hands behind the heels, grab to the outside edge of your foot. And then you can use your elbows, say, your triceps, pressing the backs of your thighs toward the floor. So lots of places to wiggle and play here. And this is a really awkward and weird place, right? So don't get too attached to it. Just kind of play and see what happens. So then instead of having your feet, take your index and middle fingers and grab onto your big toes again. Take your legs straighter and wider. Don't worry about super straight and don't worry about super wide. They go where they go. Okay? But kind of wiggle and play with it. And notice as you wiggle and play, if you get a little deeper into one area or another. Maybe you can go a little straighter, maybe you can go a little wider. Maybe you can take your toes and touch the floor on one side or the other, and the other. And then releasing the toes, just hug the knees back into the chest. Gently set your feet on the floor. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees relax out to the sides. We'll bring the knees back together. Take them flat to the floor, your feet flat to the floor. Hip bone distance apart, heels pretty close to the hips, but not quite touching. That's usually too close. So then the arms down nice and tight to the sides. Keeping the back of the neck, just like before when we were working with plow, keeping the back of the neck away from the floor. We want to press down into the triceps, pull the heels toward the hips to lift the hips away from the floor. So you can tuck your shoulders up underneath. You can, again, interlace your fingers behind your back. You can use your hands to prop your lower back. You can use blocks here, right? Any little variation you want to. Play with this and see where your body wants to go. You can, I forgot where I was going with that. Try and keep the soles of the feet on the floor. Head and neck comfortable. And then just releasing it all, coming back down. Holding here for just a couple breaths. And then again, drawing the knees into the chest and allowing yourself to rock again. So let's take the feet flat to the floor and open the arms out into a T position here. Picking the hips up, take them to the right edge of your mat, drop your knees over to your left. You're kind of tucking that left hip up under. And then just letting the legs relax, the shoulders rest back. Maybe looking over the right hand if you like. And even here, see if you can allow yourself to just be really relaxed about it. So if you feel like this right leg wants to be more bent, or if it needs to be straighter,
if for a moment that right shoulder wants to lift up off the floor and maybe kind of wiggle into a different position before it relaxes back again, right? Just let your body do what it needs to do. And take one more nice big breath here in your twist. Making your way back up to center. And we'll switch sides. So the hips left and the knees right. And then from there, allow your body to kind of shift and wiggle into whatever place it needs to be. Let's take another nice big breath here. And then we'll gently bring ourselves back up to center. One last time, drawing the knees into the chest and rocking. So again, here, if you feel like you want to rock up and down, you want to go side to side, just find what feels good. And then squeeze in. Squeeze the knees into the chest, squeeze the forehead toward the knees. Give yourself a great big hug for all the work you did. And then stretch out fingertips to toes. Releasing your stretch. Let your arms come back down by your sides. And just take a moment here to get comfortable. Remember, that can be wherever you need. So if you've got props, prop. If you want to sit up or maybe lean up against a wall. And when the body is comfortable, allow yourself to still. Moving the awareness back solely to the breath. Instead of controlling it, just let it flow as it does. Staying connected, focused, relaxed. Giving yourself just a few minutes to simply be.
Allow your breath to gradually deepen. Restoring small movements to the body first as you wiggle and stretch. When you're ready, bringing the feet flat to the floor if they're not already. Gently rolling yourself off to the side. Pause there. Take this fetal position. Just another moment or two to keep that quiet in the mind. And then gently make your way back up to seated. Sitting well. And bring the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. Thanks for practicing with me today. I hope that was fun. I hope you did some goofy stuff and maybe something that you hadn't tried before. Thank you for the birthday wishes, you guys. It was yesterday, and I feel officially older. Have a great weekend. I'll see you Thursday, Thanksgiving. Not next weekend, but you can always catch one of these videos next weekend as well. So have a great one. Thank you guys. Bye. Oh, let me know how the volume is over here on YouTube, please. Thank you. Aw, thanks, Deb. Bye, Cheryl.